I'm Joe Riggio, founder and co-owner of Varsity House Gym. I'm here with Gladys Ditroia, right? I say it right?
It's glad.
The founder of The Real Deal, diet, weight loss, and nutrition program. And we're really excited to have Gladys on today for to answer a lot of misconceptions. And we've had a few conversations before today's webinar, and I got to speak to Gladys about some of her philosophy and some of the things that she's been doing for the last, 30 some odd years, helping, thousands of women lose weight, and more importantly, keep the weight off and find a better relationship with food, which is, I think, is ultimately the psychology behind it is really the most important thing, because I think a lot of weight gain and or weight loss comes down to your relationship with food and yourself, right? And how, like you were just saying, accepting, certain things as okay, right? And not beating yourself up too bad, which I admittingly, that's my biggest thing when it's time for me to like dial up the knobs a little bit. I want to maybe lose a few pounds. It's always like I lay out this perfect plan, and I almost always, obviously find frustration because nothing is ever perfect, right? And so we're really excited to have you on and answer a bunch of questions. So for people that are on the cast, if you have any questions, you can just, I'm going to type it in here. You could just put your questions in the chat, and we'll, when we have some breaks or we get to them, we can answer questions in the chat. And so my first question, I'm just going to come out the box with the biggest question of them all, which is, you know, how do people lose weight and keep it off? What is the secret of all the years of expertise and doing this? How do you do it? And what's the key?
Yeah. So the most important thing in order to lose weight is to eat in an enjoyable manner. You have to enjoy the way you eat. All right. Why? Because we're not talking about weight loss. We're talking about maintenance, losing in a way that you can keep it off. So you have to eat in a way you can see yourself eating forever, not for, 6 weeks or 8 weeks or until that, your class reunion or until summer or whatever. It has to be a way that you can eat forever. All right. So that's probably the most important thing. So, the first thing people think of is when they think of diet is, what is the most restrictive thing I can do? Because that's going to give me the best results. The more it sucks, the harder it is. Yep, that's what I'm going to do. All right. But we know that fad diets, and they're all fad diets. Don't kid yourself, all of them. They're fad diets. They're all, now the whole big thing with, 30 grams of protein at every meal. This is just keto repackaged, which is Atkins repackaged. But anyway, these diets don't work. All right. Well, actually, they do work. They all work for as long as you're on them. But the second you go off them, and you always have to go off of them because they're never realistic or sustainable, you gain all the weight back. As a matter of fact, 96% of people gain all the weight back plus more. So everyone's looking for fast, right? But if it happens fast, it doesn't last. And honestly, the fastest way to lose weight is slowly. All right. First of all, it doesn't suck as much because when you're losing slowly, you're not in such a huge deficit that you can't include foods you like, right? So when you're losing slowly, there is that. And you're doing it in a way where you're creating habits.
Yeah.
All right. You're focusing on habits. And honestly, the only way to keep weight off is through lifestyle change. So when you change some of your habits change your lifestyle, and your lifestyle is the only thing that leads to lasting results. All right. And while I know I was going to say, while people think they're losing weight fast with fad diets, it actually makes the process so much longer, right? Because these diets are so restrictive, you can't stay on them for very long. So it starts that diet cycle we were saying. Diet, fail, start over. Diet, fail. Now, I want you to know most people will stay in this cycle for decades, not
Mm.
years, decades. Starting, stopping, starting over again.
I've seen it for 27 years. Yeah.
It's better to just take the time to learn the habits, develop the skills you need to lose. Yes, it might take a little longer, but then you get to enjoy those results for decades.
Mhm.
Right? So that quick fix is everything but a quick fix.
Yeah. I could attest to that. We've seen that a lot where, no matter what we say, somebody wants to do an extreme diet because they have again, like it could be a date specific thing. Like I got to get in shape by Memorial Day weekend or whatever it is. And, but they almost always rebound. And I think it's because, like you said, it was so restrictive that now when they're done with the thing or they hit the goal, the wheels come off the bus and they go right back to their bad habits and they go right back to their bad eating.
Because they didn't learn anything,
Yeah.
from these diets. Right? It didn't fit their lifestyle,
Right.
and so for a short period of time they could adjust or change their lifestyle to fit the diet, but you can't do that forever.
No. So you mentioned habits. What are some of the let's talk about positive habits and then if you have a few, negative ones that we want to sprinkle in there, but what are some of the positive habits that you try to instill in people? Like what are some of the key habits that people need to be mindful of as they're, trying to get to this perfect 80-20 balance of transforming their lifestyle?
Hmm. All right. Well, I just want to introduce Sandra. Say hi. Sandra works very closely with me in the program. So if there's anything I forget, if you could jump in, because
I already was gonna I was gonna do the same thing. Well,
yeah,
you've got the 3 rules to weight loss, right? So
yeah. So there's lots of habits, and what's very interesting is some of the habits, like you'll hear me say them. You're like, oh, I know that. I know I should drink more water, or I know I should be doing this, right? But are you doing them?
Mhm.
No. See, and that is not, because that's one of the habits, let's say, but you're not doing it. So what happens is people don't have anything to get them doing, right? I know, but are you doing? Sometimes you need a program that has accountability and support to get you doing, especially the accountability. So there's a lot of I know that. So what are some of the hot habits? Some of the obvious habits are going to be drinking water, getting enough sleep. People do not realize it. Really, if you're not getting enough sleep, you're not going to lose. All right, speed of eating mindfully, boom, boom, boom. These are things, these are habits. All right. And then I don't know if I should go right into there is a lot of mindset work habits as well. So we know that mindset plays a huge, huge role in losing weight. And there are usually the same sabotaging threads that happen in weight loss. So we have, as one of our coaches, there are 3 coaches and myself. And one of the coaches is a therapist who specializes in women's eating issues. So she's in there and we do a lot of mindset work. One of the things that we hear, the biggest thing is, letting one mistake turn into many. This is something people do all the time.
Sure.
And I call it the breaking of the dishes, right? So let's say, for instance, you were having a party and you were using your fine china and you were washing your china. If you broke one dish, right, when you were washing it, would you then go and break the rest of the set? No. What would you do? You'd be more careful with each one. But in weight loss, for some reason, it seems to make sense to people. It's Saturday at 11:15. And you eat one thing that you didn't plan on, right? You planned on having, one slice of pizza with your kids and you end up having, 3. So what do you say? You say, well, gee, I already messed up.
It's all over. Yeah.
I made an eating mistake. It only makes sense now that I eat like shit till Monday. That's what I should do.
Yeah.
Only in weight loss do we do that. You wouldn't do that in any other area of your life. You're learning to play tennis. You miss a ball. Do you throw down the racket and say,
Right.
that's it, I can't do this? right? So that is something we teach you, that eating mistakes are not a big deal. You mess up at 11:15 on Saturday, so what?
Right. Eat a healthy dinner or
Don't try to make up for it. Don't try to do less calories. Don't try to exercise. Just go off on to the next
move
meal.
on. Yeah.
Because that one slip up is not going to have any impact on your weight loss that week. It's only going to have an impact if you decide that that poor eating decision should now impact the decisions that fail.
Man, I feel like you're speaking to me. We could be alone on this call, like you were doing a therapy session. Because I'm my business partner, and I have a saying specifically related to me, but I'm blast or dust. It's either it's blast off and I'm 100% dialed into something, or I'm a pile of dust and I don't want, and I'm just like, I can't do it. It's like I'm done for. Do you see that a lot? I mean, that seems to be a common thing, though.
Oh my God, it's such a powerful thing. And women don't well, in the group, I work with men and women privately, but in the group, it's all women. And the women in the groups never understand why, why do I do this? And it's such a sabotaging behavior. And we teach women how to stop doing that. And what's interesting is, and the reason you do it, because when you make a mistake in any other area of your life, it's one thing, but we associate mistakes with food. We attach guilt and shame to that. It's different than a mistake. Now, guilt and shame should have absolutely nothing to do with how you eat or what you ate. We have this joke, like, you ate a brownie, you didn't burn down an orphanage. Like,
right.
Give it up. But what we have found is that since we associate feelings of guilt and shame with eating mistakes or overeating, we know that guilt and shame, and you think of this in terms of like maybe alcoholism, drug addiction, these feelings of guilt and shame actually light up the reward center in the brain and make you continue the undesired behavior. So there is a physiological portion to this. So you have to learn how to turn off the guilt. We call it the guilt shame effect. Otherwise, you're just going to continue that behavior. And you get very angry at yourself. I made a mistake. Why am I making more? Why am I compounding my problems? But unless you have the tools to turn that off, and that's something we teach, I don't know if you want to go into it now, how to turn that off, you're just going to keep eating like crap no matter what you do. You can't help it. That reward center is strong.
Yeah, I mean, that makes a lot of sense. And you see that in a lot, there's in psychology, that's self-sabotaging behavior. You see that in a lot of areas where people don't want to, they have a fear of public speaking, or they have a fear of failure. So they don't want to, they don't try hard to do something because they don't even want to be bothered, though they'll fail a class, and they'll withdraw. I had a friend of mine tell me he used to withdraw from every class that he found out if there was like a report or like he had to get up and speak in front of the class for some type of presentation. He would be like, "I just withdraw from the classes." He's like, "I switched majors twice because of that." I was like, I'm like, "That's crazy." He's like, "It took me an extra year and a half to finish college because I wouldn't take classes that had any type of public speaking or presentations in them." I was like, "That's crazy." So I think that's, it goes far deeper than, like you said, the reward system. It's almost easier to fail in a sense. It's almost easier to fail. So let me ask you another question. So if we know that habits and the ability to, consistently improve the habit sets is one of the key factors to, losing weight and then keeping it off and getting to a healthy body composition or whatever your goals are. What are some, like, again, just generalized, like, tips and tools, like, because like there's so much out there. We're being bombarded with so many ideas. So like the first things that come to my mind are like, preparation and planning, like, prepping your food, planning some of your meals out so that, making sure that you're like you talked about habits. I think of like the habits before the habits. It's like, oh, I want to lose weight and eat healthy. My head goes to, well, let's make sure we have healthy food in the house. We clean out the junk. We plan some food for the week so we kind of have an idea of what we're going to eat. So we're not like, what do we eat right now? And we just scramble towards something junk.
Absolutely. Planning is the most undervalued weight loss tool there is. Absolutely. So even if you have the best weight loss plan, if you don't have a good way of implementing it, when you don't, so let's say you have a great plan, but you don't have something in place to do it. What happens is you are always making decisions on the fly. So you're literally at the mercy of whatever is convenient. And that could very well not be things that are in line with your goals. Right?
Goldfish.
Yeah, and
In
not
my house.
absolutely. So planning has, and also what people don't understand, it's like, planning puts you in control and makes weight loss so much easier. And people resist it so much. Like, it's so much work, it's so much time. Oh my God, the amount of time you save by planning. Okay. So if you even loosely, first of all, I'm going to tell you that most people, whether they eat healthy or they don't, they eat the same damn things for breakfast, lunch, and snack most days.
Yeah.
Maybe they have a couple of breakfasts they like. Maybe they have a couple of lunches. Pretty much, I am going to tell you that our members, after a little while, breakfast, lunch, and snack is a no-brainer. All right, it's always dinners. Okay, so even if you have a loose plan, right? Like, okay, so for dinners this week, like what makes sense based on my schedule, right? Because, some days are going to be different than others. There's going to be days that you have a lot of time to cook, other days you don't, and you should always have backup plans. Right. So like, for instance, you should know 3 restaurants or 3 places that you can call and have food delivered to you that you have a meal there. So like, for instance, I have a Japanese takeout I have a Chinese takeout, and there's a pizza parlor near me that makes this awesome salad that I love. And I know if I come home in a mood, even if I have everything
I got a go-to Greek place that does a great like chicken or steak kebab with grilled vegetables and stuff like that. It's great.
And I want them to deliver it. I'm talking, it's a night. You just can't. There are nights, especially as a woman, I just can't. I did enough woman stuff all day and I can't. And I like that. So you should have all of those things in place. But even if you have a loose plan for the week, you know what that means? First of all, then, if you know what you're you can make a shopping list for the week. You know what that means? You can go shopping once for the week. What is worse than coming home at like 4:30 or 5 with no plan in place? And you're like, what the hell am I going to do? Right. Or at that time when you're tired, maybe stressed, you got to now hit the market before you go home. Unpack that shit, start prepping it, chopping and cooking. You know what? All of a sudden, weight loss seems hard. Oh my God, this is so hard. Well, you just made it hard for yourself. If you just planned out loosely what you're having, you'd have a shopping list. You could shop once for the week. How much time would that save you?
I'm so lazy. I think I'll add a great one. I'm so lazy when it comes to actually doing the food shopping that I order most of my food from Fresh Direct or, now Amazon Fresh delivers, which is Whole Foods and so forth. And I've used Fresh Direct for years, but what's great about that is they also store all your old, orders on an app, and you could create like lists. So if I have like Taco Tuesday, I have a shopping list for taco night, and I could order all the things I need if I'm low on my taco supplies and stuff like that. So that makes it so much easier.
Yeah, can you imagine? Everyone knows how to use these apps and do that, but they resist planning so much, and it literally saves you so much time. And also, when you plan out what you're going to have, it helps you stop obsessing with food. All right. It gets rid of decision fatigue. and it makes you more successful. Because what happens when you know what you're having, like for lunch? Lunchtime doesn't come around and you open the refrigerator and you start going, what should I have? What do I feel like having? You're not poking around in pantries. You know what you're having. And if you're constantly having to make decisions all day as to what you're eating, there are many times that we eat during the day. Well, in my program, we have snacks and everything. You're going to start having decision fatigue. You're going to be like, this sucks. I mean, all I do is think about food. When am I going to eat? When am I going to eat next? How's this? Make a plan as to what you're going to eat, write what you're going to eat, and eat what you wrote. No thinking about it. You don't have to think about food at all the whole day.
Yep.
How great is that?
Yeah, I love that.
I would like to interject too
Go
that
ahead. Yeah, go ahead, Sandra.
the meals that you can plan are appropriate for your whole family. So there is no, I've got to make my family a meal and now make myself something that's good for me. You know, what we're talking about is for the whole family as well.
Yeah, and it's funny because like I have a pretty good system. I think like during the week, my wife and I are kind of like robotic when it comes to that. Now I do love to cook, and I do most of the cooking in our family, right? And the food shopping and so forth. But I come from a family of like restaurateurs and cooks and so forth, right? I cook most of our food on Sundays, and Sundays like a sacred food prep day. We hang out with the family, making meatballs with my little guy, and just trying to have some fun around the food. But like, if I start early, 8 o'clock in the morning, I'll start prepping some soups or make a stew or whatever it is for that day. By noontime, I have food for days, and you could make a lot of healthy stuff. And then my wife usually cooks on Wednesday night, which she did today, and she made food that'll carry us over for the next couple of days. And I think if you just sat down on Sunday and looked at your schedule, like a lot of people, they have their work schedule. They know what their kids got going on during the week. They know what time they have practice and things like that. And if you just said, okay, all right, I got practice at 4 p.m. What are we going to have for dinner then? If I'm done with practice at 5, like what's for dinner? And it's just like, think that extra 10 minutes of thought around what are we going to eat? When are we going to eat? What do we need to eat that? You'd be able to cover a lot of ground pretty quickly.
A little planning goes a long way. So one of the key things, and in the 8-week program, every Sunday we talk about it and we say, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. That is it. You just, a little planning makes the biggest difference. And unlike you, I hate to cook. I hate to cook.
Most people do.
I try to find ways, I use a lot of it in the program. We use a lot of, like, when I say prepped, I mean like shortcuts. Yep. There's a lot of shortcuts you can use. And this doesn't mean that you're using processed food, like you can use, chicken sausages. We love these chicken, meatballs and things like this that can make your life easy. I do a whole thing on the air fryer. The air fryer is my best friend.
I love it. Yeah, I love the air fryer.
Oh my God. And now they have air fryer liners. I don't even have to clean my air fryer anymore.
Well, my wife will, that tip alone right there just got you some brownie points from my wife. She's like, you always make a mess of the air fryer.
Yeah. No cleanup. How sick is this? I have 3 air fryers because my oven anymore. So in one, I'll put my protein. In the other one, I'll put like potatoes. And in the third, I put a vegetable. Boom, boom, boom. Everybody's done in 10 minutes. And the air fryer liner in the trash. And I am out of there. So there are lots of ways to make it easy. But you're right, planning. You have to be thinking, like, we have this like schedule thing you put up in the top. You think about what's going on that day. So what would be appropriate? Your kid has some sort of sport thing that day. We have lots of, people with kids and jobs. So you have to think, what? I'm going to make something that I can have for a couple of days. Okay, so for one day I'll make it, but the other day, that'll be a day for leftovers. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And I don't believe too much in meal. Like, I hate the idea of meal prep. What I mean by meal prep is when you make your meals and you're putting them in those little glass things and you eat the same thing for 5 days. Because you know what? On day 4, you know what that chicken and brown rice tastes like?
Not that great.
No, not good. I believe, for me personally, I like meal like.
Welcome to my life.
So I want dinner time. I want to just be assembling. I want to assemble. That's all I got left in me is assembling. So in the morning when I have time, or when I'm cleaning up from a meal the night before, for the next day, what has to be chopped? What has to be washed? I hate chopping. And we have so many gadgets we use that make life easier. But like I have this chopper. What has to be chopped? Because I already have a mess to clean up after dinner. Let me make some more mess now. Let me chop some stuff and get it ready and done. So I like to just have everything kind of ready to go.
I like that. I like that a lot. Yeah. I mean, and I think like, I don't know, like I just top of mind, like an easy go-to, like you can always stop and get a roaster chicken from a bunch of places. And that's like a brainless fix, and it's super healthy, tasty, quick and easy. You get basically, I would say like probably 4 portions out of that easily.
And you can do lots of things with it. Or I won't
Sure.
even get
Pulled
started
chicken, all
with our
sorts of
chicken
stuff.
shredder. We have,
Yeah.
but it doesn't get it. And you can also buy, people don't want to buy like frozen vegetables and things
Yeah, all
like
the
that.
time. They're awesome.
You have to know that frozen vegetables go to bad. Frozen vegetables are more nutritious than fresh.
Yeah.
They are picked at maturity. So they have all their nutrients in them. Whereas when you buy a fresh vegetable, it never got a chance to reach maturity. It
Yeah.
got picked before it was mature so that it could be shipped or flown to a market where it goes now. So it didn't even have the opportunity to have all the nutrients in it. So unless you're buying local is the only thing
Yeah.
that is healthier, more full of nutrients than frozen. So and you can buy, and if you don't want to buy frozen, even though I'm a big fan, you can buy pre-cut, pre-washed. There are so many shortcuts.
So let's say again, like let's say, we're making some headway. We're doing the thing and we're hitting our 80/20. We're planning a little bit and we're starting to really make some strides on our weight loss. And we're getting closer and closer to your goal, whatever that might be for each person. As a professional, I know that, let's just say the closer you get to any goal, the generally the process starts to slow down a little bit, right? So, if I have 50 pounds to lose, the first 20 might go pretty easy. The next 10, not too bad. That last 20, 10, 5 could be really, really difficult. What generally is the process there when we start? Like, what, in addition to eating clean, what can people start to do when they start to slow down a little bit?
All right. So first of all, we have to stop you on the word eating clean. Eating clean is just another form of restriction.
Mhm.
No matter how, wonderful it sounds. Eating clean tells people that if I eat something outside of this group, of foods, then I messed up. Right? And then what happens? So eating clean is just another form of restriction. I hate it. And you know what? Because when it comes to weight loss, it doesn't really matter what you're eating. It
Sure.
matters how many calories you're eating. You can
Calories
eat
in,
6
calories out.
donuts, or you can eat 300, barrels of broccoli, right?
Mhm.
So eating clean, another negative thing. All right. So now, don't let me leave without giving everyone the 3 rules. This will be something that can actually take home and start doing. All right. So when you get closer to your goal, it's not getting harder. It's getting slower. And why is it getting slower? Because now the percentage, if you lost 10 pounds, but you were 200 pounds, that is a smaller percentage of your total weight, right? So now when you've lost, 30, 40 pounds, 10 pounds is now, a much larger percentage. So you have to look at it in percentages. So at one point, 5 pounds wasn't that hard to lose because you had so much to lose. But as you have less, every half pound is a larger percentage.
Sure.
And there we go. So what do you need to do when you get closer and it slows down? Just keep going.
Mhm.
We always say, put on your patience panties and just keep going.
I love it.
What is the damn rush? You know why? When,
I don't have a pair of patience.
well, there you don't have, gotta get you a pair of real
I
deep.
got,
What happens?
I got my barely patient boxer briefs.
Okay, so you don't have them. You need to get them. You need to put on your patience man and chill out. Just, you know what? This
Yeah.
because, well, the way we eat, it doesn't suck. It doesn't suck. You could do it forever. It's enjoyable. So just keep
Yeah.
going. The time
And
will
you mentioned that earlier too. You talked about this unrealistic timeline that people put in their heads. So, I think that falls perfectly into that category where it's like, oh, but I thought I was going to be here by now, or I thought I'd already have this by now, and so forth. And do you, like I said, the example I get a lot is, you think I could lose X amount of weight by this time?
always ask me that. And I'm like, how the hell do I know what you're going to lose? How compliant are you going to be?
Right, right.
Much
What other mitigating factors in your life are going to happen in the next 10 weeks?
Can you endure? You want to lose 30 pounds? How much restriction can you endure? Because in order to get there, you're going to have to endure a lot of restriction for that period of time. So I don't have, a magic ball,
Yeah,
right? So I don't think, once you, no one is really successful at long-term weight loss until they finally had it. They're like, I have had it with all these diets. And you know what? I'm just going to listen to Gladys and I'm just going to chill out and I'm going to focus on my habits, not on the scale.
right.
When you constantly focusing on results, you never make changes. But when
Great point. I really like that. That's a great point.
But when you focus on changes, when you focus on habits, oh my God, then you get results. So it's exactly opposite, right? Focusing on results, being outcome oriented is just the worst thing for any goal. If you were, I don't know if you've ever heard of the book, there's two books that we just love. One is The Beck Diet Solution. And we had Dr. Beck on talk to our group recently. But that is all about I am certified in CBT for weight loss. And this deals with the sabotaging thoughts that keep women from losing weight. And it always starts with something like, I know I shouldn't be eating this, but. So there's always a thought that precedes a sabotaging action. There's that. And then there's Atomic Habits. All right.
Yep, I love
Those
that.
two books, that's all you need. So like in Atomic Habits, he says, if there's a coach and their basketball team isn't doing well, he doesn't just sit there and look at the scoreboard and go, gosh, I want the score to be better. He doesn't think about the score. Oh, my dogs are going crazy. He thinks about, okay, what do I need to be focusing on? Oh, maybe the members need new sneakers, or maybe we should have more practice, or maybe we should look at the team members' diets, right? They're not sitting there obsessing over the score. They're thinking about what things do I need to do to get things.
Just make the next play. Make the next play. Exactly.
How can I do? So that's what we have to be focusing on. Focusing on results never works.
That makes a lot of sense. And I see that a lot for sure. I could see that with my own fitness when I was younger and arguably fitter, but I was chasing like strength numbers and things like that more on a competitive scale. It was always like, almost like a never-ending cycle of chasing my tail, where once I started to create a more consistent habit set around training, I actually got fitter doing way less with way less anxiety,
Yes, that's what we say about habits. If you're not using habits, then you're doing something very restrictive and a fad diet. And what does that call on? That is going to call on willpower.
Sure.
Right? So you are relying on willpower. Well, let me just tell you something. Willpower is bullshit. It is fleeting. It is unreliable.
Sure.
Habits make your life.
Yeah.
Habits shape your entire life. And willpower is like a battery. It has a limited time. It's always going to wear out, always. But when you have habits in place, you can rely on them forever. I don't even think about my weight anymore. And that's what I want for every woman. I hate the amount how thinking about your weight sucks out the personal energy and spirit and everything from women. They spend their time worrying about this. I feel like if we took all the energy every woman put into worrying about their weight, we would have like world peace. We would have cured world hunger, right? But we're sitting around in our lives worrying about how to control our weight.
Yeah.
This is ridiculous. I really, really hate that. That's really why I think I do this work most, because it frees up so much of your personal energy, and you could do such better and more fun and valuable things with that energy.
For sure. So I have to ask, because obviously I'm the gym guy, right? So what role does fitness, strength training, again, I'm a strength guy, and I'm a strength training guy as the base of my fitness pyramid. But I realize that not everybody maybe enjoys strength training as much as I do, or the community.
Yeah.
Right. But what should people be doing on their fitness side of things?
Okay, so I am adamant on this. We have 8 modules like in my program, and one of them is on exercise. And right off the bat, get the hell off the treadmill.
Mhm.
Get the hell off the treadmill and pick something up. Weight-bearing activity is the most important. You have to prioritize weight-bearing activity for weight loss. All right, like when you do cardio or something, I hope I'm not bashing your treadmills, but
Nope.
not saying you shouldn't do cardio, but you got to.
We don't have any in our gyms.
Okay. Love it. Love it. Okay. You have to prioritize strength training. And this is why. If you're doing cardio, so you're burning a few calories during and maybe a few after. But when you're doing weight-bearing activity and building some muscle, and when I say muscle, I am not talking about meathead muscle. I am talking muscle tissue, right? Muscle tissue burns calories at like 15 times the rate of other tissue. But more importantly, when you're building muscle, you are metabolizing at a higher rate 24 hours a day.
Mhm.
Even when you're sleeping. So you are changing your basic metabolic, you're changing your resting metabolic rate. Why is this so important? Because after the age of 35, everyone is going to experience something called sarcopenia. And what does that mean? This is that you're going to gain a pound and a half of fat and lose a half a pound of muscle every year. That's adding on 2 pounds a year without changing anything in the way you're eating. That's why people come to me at 50 and go, I eat exactly the way I ate my whole life.
What happened? Yeah.
30 pounds heavier. And that is just the normal decline in metabolism. And there is only one way to counteract that, and that is by building some muscle tissue. All right. And what I love about it, yes. Okay.
Thank you.
Oh, you are welcome. I have made more women start lifting shit that they never thought they'd lift anything. And what I love about it is because it boosts your metabolism so much, you can eat more while you're losing. And like myself,
that's why I always loved it.
I don't want to eat like a bird. I'm not a bird. I like to eat. I like a lot of food. So the more muscle you have, the more you can eat. And the more you can eat and maintain your weight or lose weight. So yeah. I find it's really important for maintenance because your muscle's doing so much of the work for you.
I also think it adds to people. I mean, I guess maybe slightly underrated, but one of the things that we try to drive home to our, let's call it, aging community that, for the majority of our adult clients, it's 40 to 60 plus, right? And I say, man, the worst thing, strength training, not only it builds your metabolism, but it builds your capability, right? And it allows you to continue to live your life the way you want to well into your 50s, 60s, 70s, and beyond. So if you love playing golf and you strength train and you keep yourself strong, you might be able to play golf in your 80s. But the worst thing that could happen, right, I think for a lot of people is that we have this idea that, oh, I'm going to do more of this when I retire. And I hear that a lot from clients like, oh, well, I can't wait till I retire. I'm going to play golf every day. I was like, well, if you don't take care of yourself and you're too weak to play or you're too unfit to play, you're not going to be playing any golf. So strength training allows you to continue to do the things that you love in life, hike and fish and bike and, playing golf, playing pickleball now, which is like insanity. You know, for a long, long time. Whereas if you don't strength train, I think a lot of people wind up getting more injuries, more chance of losing those, let's call it those lifestyle abilities.
They lose their quality of life. They
Yeah.
get to a time in their life where they suddenly have more time. Maybe they have a little more money now, the mortgage is paid off and they want to go do shit and they can't do it. Right? So you lose those years. What a shame, And our goals, our reasons. It's also important to really know why you're doing, why is losing weight important to you? If those reasons aren't, key, aren't forefront in your mind, you don't have a chance. That's another thing we talk about. You really have to know your whys.
Yeah.
And your whys change. You have to update those whys. I have a joke in the program, it's probably inappropriate, but I always said, like, at one time, I wanted to look good naked. Then I wanted to look good in my clothes. Then I wanted to look, I wanted to be able to fit in my clothes. And then I just want to wipe my own ass when I'm 90. And I'm not kidding. I am not kidding. My mother had to get put into, first of all, I come from a family of all overweight people. I am the only one in my family that's not morbidly obese. My mother had to put into a hoist. I'm not kidding. And lifted. And every time she had to go to the bathroom, this was the process. It was so degrading, and I wanted to do things with her and my kids wanted to do things with her. And she just wasn't able. She wasn't able to walk or move. My father died from heart disease. He missed seeing my children, all their grandchildren. We went on vacations and with everyone and they didn't get to come. Really think so. Your reasons change. It's really important that you know what they are.
Yeah, I mean, I look at, my own perspective. The minute I became a dad, it was like my whole value set changed to, towards longevity, health, lifestyle, cognitive health, right? And similar to your story, my father passed away when I was 12. My mom had a heart attack and she'd lived, but morbidly obese her whole life, had a very poor quality of life. My stepfather died of a degenerative brain disease a few years ago from, lack of health and diabetes and stuff like that. So, I think like people, and again, you might not have that story. For people listening, you might not have the story. And for a lot of people, it might just be looking better and feeling better and so forth.
I said at different points in your life.
Different seasons.
Yes, and that was one. And you know what? When you're young, you're supposed to want to,
of course,
have. I still want to look good, but it's not my driving force right now for continuing the way to live this way. But it's also.
I got one last question, okay, and it's really for you to kind of explain a little bit about your program and really just like, why has the Real Deal program been so successful? And can you kind of take us on a journey as a little bit of like what people can expect with the Real Deal program?
All right. So the reason it's been so successful is because it's real, right? And we eat real food. You're going to buy it at the regular supermarket. You have to, I insist, you include foods you like. You can drink alcohol. You don't have to make separate meals. And it works with like the way people really live. I know you're busy. I know you like to socialize. I get it, right? So it's real and it's very easy to do because it allows you to lose weight without deprivation. The reason it's so effective is because the program offers so much support and accountability.
Great.
Accountability. If we ask our members, and I don't know, I mean, whoever's here, you go follow the Real Deal Weight Loss Program on Instagram or Facebook, and you will see there is, or just go to my link and see all of the success stories. If you ask all of those women, aside from the fact that the program was easy and they enjoyed the way they ate, they'll tell you the reason they did so well was because of the accountability, right? Because without accountability, you just let yourself slide. I mean, and what are you going to be accountable to yourself? Yeah. How's that going? Okay, so you're really accountable in our group. So, every week you have to, get on a scale, take a picture with your feet, send it in and write down what you ate and send it to us. And I don't care what you ate. See, that's the thing. Nobody's judging if you had a whole pizza. I don't give a shit. Just writing it down will make you do better. The number one thing, the most effective thing you can do in an effort to lose weight is track what you're eating.
Man, I gotta tell my people when they're not handing in their food logs like they're supposed to, exactly what you just said, because that's one of the things we tell our clients constantly. You got to hand in your food log. I'd be able to help you so much more.
And we do look at it. The coaches and I look at it, and you can ask us questions and we'll call you out. But listen, we have accountability. You don't send it in, you lose your money. And I always say, and I'm going to go buy some stupid shit with your money. You can judge me, but you have some skin in the game. You watch a difference. And I don't care if you've got $10 million. You're just laying on a bed at $10 million. Nobody likes to throw money away. No. I like my trainer, I have a deal with him. Unless I call you and I'm like, I got COVID or something. If I cancel on you, you can't be my trainer unless you promise to charge me. You have to take it out of my package. All right. And, and then I've taken other classes where they were like $20 or $25 if you don't cancel within 24 hours. I got to tell you, unless I got an axe in my head, I'm going to that class. I don't want to throw away $20.
Yeah. And we're the same way, and that's the difference between hiring like a great personal trainer or hiring a nutrition program. You're hiring a coach, you're hiring a mentor, you're hiring accountability. Anybody could pay to go to a boot camp class and just get their butt kicked for an hour. But like you said, similar on the nutrition side, that doesn't change your habits, doesn't teach you how to train properly for life, doesn't teach you how to sequence exercises together. So, I mean, there's something truly powerful in what you're saying, because you're not just buying a diet, you're buying a coach, you're paying for a coach, you're paying for a group of like-minded individuals.
So much more than the coach. But I want to ask, like, any of your members, because as I said, it doesn't matter what you eat. We just want you to eat that. Of course, I'm going to tell you, what to eat, how to eat, when to eat, blah, blah, blah. I'm going to teach you all of that. But when's the last time you wrote down? Now, you shouldn't have to count your calories or write stuff down the rest of your life. No way. But for 8 weeks, do it and watch how much you learn about the foods you commonly eat, what you spend on certain things, your habits. I want to ask them, when was the last time you tracked your food for 8 weeks consistently?
I'm gonna say it's probably 0.
There you go. But do it for 8 weeks. It's life-changing. Life-changing. And like when you do a program like this, this gives you the tools. You know how to control your weight for the rest of your life. You never have to do anything else. Never, ever, ever. There's, this is it. It's the last stop. And it works 100% of the time. Our method works 100% of the time. Being in a calorie deficit works. It's a law. There's no way it doesn't work. What I teach you is how to stay in that calorie deficit comfortably. So it's not painful. All right. So, and we also have so much group support. So we have this Facebook group that's private, and in it, we have myself, the 3 coaches. We are literally, you have access to me and the coaches like 24/7.
Love it.
In there, I'm always, whatever the topic of the week was, I'm talking about. And then people love my food suggestions. I have food recommendations that would blow your mind that no one has even heard of. So I have my food recommendations and easy recipes, but I'm not talking easy. I'm talking so easy. And then the women can talk in there. You know, they can say, oh, well, this happened or that happened. And we all jump in and help. And, you know, listen, men, there's no men in there. We have a joke. It's, you know, chicks, no dicks. Sorry about my language. So it really makes women very comfortable to talk about our special group of issues that we have.
I love that.
Now, like even dealing with our spouses sometimes. Sometimes we have spouses that can eat whatever they want, you know, and they make it difficult for us, or our kids or whatever. And we are able to discuss all this. We help each other out when we're having problems. We cheer each other on when it's going well. And people just love the community.
Amazing. This was great. For everybody who's listening, obviously, as you're part of the Varsity House community, Gladys has been amazing. She's going to give us a nice $50 discount for anybody who wants to join the program. I'll put the links in the notes for the show and so forth. And we really appreciate you taking the time to answer a bunch of questions. Go ahead.
I wanted to leave your group with just a few things they could do right now. So they can leave and they're like, wow, I'm going to do that. All right. So in the program, the first module, I tell everyone there are 3 rules to the program. And these aren't just while you're in the program. These are things you should do the rest of your life. Talk about habits. These are the habits you have to do to lose weight. Number 1, eat breakfast within 1 hour of waking. Whatever you eat within that first hour is going to set your metabolic rate for the whole day. So if you eat little or nothing, you're going to be burning at a low rate all day. Eat a good meal for breakfast, and you are going to be burning at a higher rate and just going to also be less likely to overeat later on in the day. All right, 1. Rule number 2, eat every 3 to 5 hours. 4 is best. Why? Hunger is just simply a reaction to dropping blood sugars. All right. So after 3 hours of eating, your blood sugar begins to drop. At 4, it's dropping. At 5, you're done. You're done. It's dropped. And there's nothing you can do to try to eat sensibly after that, because your body's having like a little minor blood sugar emergency. And it's going to send you a signal to eat, but not to just eat anything. To eat something that will bring your blood sugar up quickly, and that'll usually be foods that are, you know, high in fat and sugar and because that's the combo that brings it up. So has nothing to do with willpower. All right, that's rule number 2. And rule number 3, every time you eat a protein, carb, and fat together. We call this PCF. All right, I told you that hunger is just a reaction to blood sugars. The combination of protein, carb, and fat together, this is the combination that balances your blood sugars. It also balances your mood and energy levels. And we all know being tired or being in a pissy mood triggers us to eat. So, you know, and I said carbs. In the Real Deal, we eat carbs at every single meal. Carbs don't make you fat. Excess calories, it doesn't matter where they come from. That's what makes you gain weight. Carbs make you happy. Carbs make you able to stick to a plan long enough to take it off. And carbs make you enjoy your eating enough that you can actually keep it off afterwards. So those are the 3 rules. Do those 3 things. You're going to find they're life-changing. Someone had a question.
Yeah, somebody had a question about menopause, but I think you answered it when you talked about age, but what do you
So it's so interesting today, Susan. If you go, this is so interesting that you asked this. If you go to the Real Deal Weight Loss Program in Instagram and go to stories, there's a whole story, and this is so funny. She's a 67-year-old personal trainer. She couldn't lose weight because why? You can't out-exercise a bad diet. Doesn't matter how much exercise or what you're lifting, right? So go in there and it talks about menopause. I want you to know it's not your hormones. 99.9% of the time, it's not your hormones, it's your habits. Your habits change as you age. All right. So it's your habits. We hear it all the time. I am 60 years old. All right. So I get it. And it is your habits.
For sure.
So it's
Sure.
the same formula works in menopause at any other time. Are you gaining weight differently? Yes. All right. You're going to gain it differently. You're going to gain it more in your stomach because we start to be more like men in menopause as our ratio of hormones are off. So, you might get a little hair here, and instead of gaining weight, maybe in your butt like you used to, all of a sudden it's in your stomach because men gain, but you lose it the same way.
Great tip. Great stuff. This is amazing. Thank you so much. We're looking forward to seeing more of you, and we'll see you soon. And this is the real deal.
Yes,
Thank you so much.